All right, Mr. Stover, what are your thoughts on minimum wage?
I think it's a good amount for high school students who are just working in their free time, but if I was an adult, I would not be able to support a family off that.
Do you think it should be raised? If so, how much?
I don't think it should be raised for kids, but for adults, it should be.
All right.
I don't know how much.
Only 11% of 16 to 24-year-olds make minimum wage.
Okay, Mr. Spore, what are your thoughts on minimum wage?
My thoughts on minimum wage are we as Americans need to set a minimum standard for what sort of jobs that people do. And I think minimum wage is that kind of standard for minimum level jobs.
All right, do you think it should be raised? And if so, how much?
I think the federal minimum wage should be raised to kind of like South Dakota has $8.50, and what I believe that is, once again, if you're working at a minimum level job and have minimal experience and qualifications, you shouldn't be getting paid as much as, say, police officers, teachers, firefighters, or anyone who has to go to college and get a degree. So I think minimum wage should be raised, but I do not think it should be raised over $10 an hour.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Employees who start at the minimum wage aren't stuck there. Research found that the majority of employees who start at the minimum wage move to a higher wage after the first year on the job.
All right, Mr. Schneider, what are your thoughts on minimum wage?
I think that minimum wage should be minimum $10 an hour, high school kids. I don't think that, like if you look at people that are out living, trying to make ends meet, let's say that their path is not in college yet or something like that, then it might be like $12.50 minimum wage. If you tried to make a living, let's say you're working at Walmart or something like that, and you weren't making $15 an hour, it'd be very hard not to qualify for subsidies and stuff like that. I think that the minimum wage should be a reflection of where you should be able to make ends meet.
All right, thank you.
Minimum wage increases do not help reduce poverty. Award-winning research looked at states that raised their minimum wage between 2003 and 2007 and found no evidence to suggest these higher minimum wages reduce poverty rates. While a few employees who earn a wage increase might benefit from a wage hike, those that lose their job are noticeably worse off.
All right, Mr. Bolte, what are your thoughts on minimum wage?
As an adult, I don't think that you can live off the minimum wage. But as a kid, being a high school student, I think it's easily enough money to get by.
Do you think it should be raised? And if so, how much?
Yes, because then if you are an adult, you are supplying for other children or people. So I would say around 10 for kids. That also just that much more money they can put towards college.
Thank you.
Employees that earn the minimum wage tend to be young and work in businesses that keep a few cents of each sales dollar after expenses. When the minimum wage goes up, these employers are forced to either pass costs on to the customer in form of higher prices or cut costs elsewhere, leading to less full service and more customer self-service. As a result, fewer hours and jobs are available for less skilled and less experienced employees.
All right, Mr. Blanchett, what are your thoughts on minimum wage?
I think minimum wage is important to have, and it's a good topic to discuss.
Okay, do you think it should be raised, and if so, to how much?
I think it's fine where it's at. So no, it should be,
Stay the same?
yeah, stay the same.
Thank you.
29 states plus the District of Columbia, nearly 24 cities and counties have set their own higher minimums.
What?
All right, we're here with Mrs. Blanchett, and we're going to ask her some questions over the topic minimum wage. How would an increase in minimum wage affect the economy?
Only positively. I think that the myth that the minimum wage would affect the economy negatively is just not true. They've done studies, economists and others have done studies that the minimum wage increase, it does stimulate the economy. It's small, but it does stimulate the economy a little bit. When people have extra money in their pockets, they're going to spend more and more, money coming in and out of the system.
All right. And if you were living off minimum wage, do you think you could sustain yourself? If so, why?
You know, I probably wouldn't be able to sustain myself in my current living situation. You know, I definitely wouldn't have, you know, the recreational things that we have, you know, our boat and our camper and stuff like that. But could I get by? Probably. Unfortunately, living at minimum wage level is right on the border of, you know, the poverty line. So I'm not sure I have the answers, but I don't know how we help enough so that we can get people above the poverty line. Now, the positive side is that most small businesses and large businesses do pay more than minimum wage, and that competition for job security, or that competition definitely helps with job security, that, you know, most places are going to pay you higher than the simple minimum wage. People who have been against minimum wage have said that, you know, small businesses won't be able to afford if you hike the minimum wage. Well, that's just simply not true. That most small businesses have even reported that, you know, having a minimum wage, you know, at least under $12 has been, you know, positive for their business, because, you know, they get people to work there, and if you're making more money, you have happier employees that are reliable and willing to come to work. And like I said, when those employees have that little extra money in their pockets, they're going to stimulate the economy to some degree. I think the Department of Labor has done studies on the fact that it really does, you know, during the Obama administration, a lot of people were really against the hike in minimum wage and stuff like that, but the truth is that economists have shown that it didn't really make that big of a difference. It can, you know, it was more positive than it was negative, put it that way.
Okay, thank you.